Brexit is dead!
If you caught the start of the show, you'd have heard me reiterate how most farmers voted for Brexit. Had they not, this country wouldn't be £100 billion a year worse off as far as trade with the EU goes, and Rachel Reeves wouldn't necessarily be looking at taxing family farms to make up the difference.
So there you have it. I know that many people who voted Remain in the Brexit referendum have very little sympathy for the farmers, believing many voted to leave the EU. Particularly that the farmers now have to pay 20% inheritance tax on their farms. In fact, I reckon that many people who are struggling due to the cost of living and have to pay 40% inheritance tax probably have very little sympathy too.
People aren't going to like the question, but it does beg the question whether farmers are simply reaping what they sowed. You can't look at the issue of family taxes or inheritance tax on family farms. You can't look at it separately from Brexit, because the costs of Brexit are hurting this country and the Chancellor's trying to make up that difference. I'm saying my starting point for this is farmers in the majority voted for Brexit. Brexit has cost this country a pretty penny. We are now looking for ways to make up that loss. Should farmers bear some of that cost?
I am concerned that this will hurt farmers and so have further impact on the food that we produce in this country. But another point to bear in mind is that because trade between Britain and the EU has been made more complicated due to Brexit and so more expensive, this too has had an impact on the food we once exported to EU countries. So all in all, farmer-wise, this definitely looks like they've shot themselves in the foot.
When I get a letter from a 93-year-old that until 1:30 p.m. on Wednesday the 30th of October, the best tax advice was for them to keep their asset until death. That changed overnight. They are not going to live for the next 7 years. They have no way of gifting that farm to the next generation without paying exorbitant tax. That is something which is simply not acceptable.
But things change, Tom, and farmers who voted overwhelmingly for Brexit...
where do you get that figure from? Where do you get that figure from?
The Science Direct Journal of Rural Studies, January 2021. It's a huge, long paper. It goes through region by region, sex by sex, different levels of what level of employment you have within the farm. And trust me, the paper makes an overwhelming case that farmers voted for Brexit. And unless you have information to the contrary, we'll have to go with that. So you voted overwhelmingly for Brexit overnight. I lost my right to live in Europe, to stay wherever I wanted. That's what farmers voted for. The country's £100 billion a year worse off. That's what farmers voted for. And now the government's trying to make up the shortfall. Farmers should suck it up.
Click here for people smuggling got worse after Brexit.